You've seen the pictures, right? Cherry blossoms, Tokyo's neon glow, the incredible food. It's easy to see why a working holiday in Japan is such a massive dream for so many people. But here's the thing, behind those Instagram perfect shots, there are some pretty big real-world hurdles you need to know about before you even think about packing your bags. So let's get into it. So, we're going to skip the usual travel brochure stuff. Our goal here is to give you the real story. The financial stuff, the job realities, and yeah, the paperwork headaches that a lot of people run into. This way, you can go in with your eyes wide open. First up, let's talk about money. Because while the experience itself might be priceless, living in Japan definitely isn't. Seriously, the financial reality can be one of the biggest shocks for anyone who moves there. So you've got this double whammy hitting you. First, the yen has been pretty weak, which means when you send money back home, it might not be worth as much as you'd hoped. And at the same time, the cost of living, especially rent in a big city like Tokyo, is no joke. It can seriously eat up a huge chunk of what you're earning. Okay, but forget rent and exchange rates for a second. There is one thing, one specific number that catches almost everyone off guard. And trust me, it takes a massive bite out of your very first paycheck.
And there it is, 20.42%. Seriously, you've got to burn this number into your brain before you even start looking for work. So what in the world is it?
This, my friends, is the non-resident income tax. See, because you're on a working holiday, you're not considered a long-term resident. So the tax system treats you differently. Instead of a tiered system, they just hit you with this flat 20.42% rate on everything you earn, right off the top. It's a huge point of confusion, and if you don't plan for it, it can cause some serious financial stress. That hourly wage you see advertised? Yeah, that is not what you're taking home. Not even close.
All right, so that's the money side. Now let's talk about the work itself. I mean, finding a job is one thing, but really understanding the kinds of jobs out there and the rules that come with them, that's a whole other challenge.
Look, for the most part, the jobs you'll find are going to be in the service industry. We're talking restaurants, hotels, cafes, that kind of thing. And while that's an awesome way to practice your Japanese, you got to know that the wages can be, well, a bit low compared to other working holiday spots. And the big thing is, these jobs often don't give you skills that will directly boost your career when you get back home.
But it's not just about the type of job. There's this little rule baked right into the visa itself that creates a huge, predictable problem right smack in the middle of your year. And this timeline shows it perfectly. See that? You're often only allowed to work for one company for 6 months. 6 months. That means right when you're finally feeling comfortable and settled in, boom, you've got to start the job hunt all over again. They call it the employment cliff for a reason, and it creates this huge scramble for new job halfway through your visa.
Okay, so you've wrapped your head around the money, you get the job situation, but you can't even start earning until you get through the bureaucracy. And let me tell you, this is where your patience gets its first and biggest test.
Right, these are your first two major hurdles right out of the gate. First, you have to go to your local city office to register your address. It's called Jumin Toroku. You absolutely need to do this, because only after you have that piece of paper can you go on to step 2, opening a bank account so you can actually get paid. Seems simple enough, right?
Well, the reality can be super stressful. You're dealing with forms that are often only in Japanese and procedures that are totally different from what you're used to. For a long time, this meant spending hours and hours in city offices feeling lost. But, and this is important, things are changing. You should definitely look into some of the newer digital banking options or support services that are popping up to help streamline this whole painful process.
So, after hearing all that, you might be a little worried. But how do you actually turn this experience into a massive success instead of a source of stress? It really all comes down to preparing well and having the right mindset, especially when you think about what happens after your year in Japan is over.
And this is maybe one of the most important things to think about for your future. The experience you have might not immediately translate on a resume back home. The secret is learning how to sell it. It wasn't just a service job. It was a masterclass in resilience, adapting to a new culture, and solving problems on the fly. And hey, maybe think about looking for work outside of Tokyo or Osaka. In smaller towns, your skills could be way more valuable, and you might get a much richer, more unique experience to talk about.
Okay, so let's boil it all down. Here's your checklist for success. 1. Get everything about your job, your wage, your working days, in writing before you start. No verbal agreements. 2. Plan for that 20.42% tax. Know it's coming so it's not a shock. 3. Do your homework on the bureaucracy before you land.
Know the steps for registering your address and opening a bank account. And 4, actively try to adapt. Success isn't just about the job, it's about how you handle the entire experience.
So, we'll leave you with this question. Now that you know about the hurdles, the financial pinch, the job cliff, the paperwork gauntlet, how are you going to strategically plan your year? How can you turn this from just a working holiday into a real career advantage? Are you going to explore opportunities in the regions, use those new digital tools to make your setup easier, and learn how to frame your experience not just as a fun trip, but as a strategic step in building a truly resilient global career?